Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
If you've ever wanted to know what not to do when promoting an indie animated pilot, you should absolutely go check out the Kickstarter campaign for the show, Chimptopia. And you might want to do it soon because I feel like the negative response this has gotten could cause it to disappear just as fast as it appeared. In an era where so many movie trailers basically show you the entire movie in the trailer out of desperation to get you to buy tickets, or use one of your A-list reservations, I find myself yearning for the days of original teasers. Monsters, Inc. has a perfect teaser trailer because it immediately establishes our main characters with Mike and Sully, their chemistry, and the tone the movie is going to have, which is to say, very funny.
Well, okay, you remember the 5th grade? Yeah. When you spent all your time passing notes to Susie Boyles?
Loved it.
The rest of us were studying geography. This is not Mongolia.
Would you listen to this? Blame it on the little guy. How original. He must have read the schedule wrong with his one eye.
These kinds of teasers are much less common today, which is why it was actually really refreshing to see one for Pixar's Gato just the other day.
Oh, I hate it.
Grab it.
And these kinds of teasers are often essential in the growing world of independent animation because you need to get the word out about your project, and a snappy video that can be widely shared across social media will often do the trick. And this is especially true if you're trying to get the show crowdfunded. You give people a taste of what you're making without actually having a full thing made, since you probably don't have the full thing made yet. And what you absolutely don't want to do is come across as unprofessional and self-important. And this brings us to the teaser trailer for Chimptopia. The teaser opens with a character based off of Gobbles from Gameoverse, who I talked about in my last video. If you didn't watch the full last video, you should. It's really good. A lot of people watched the shorts but didn't watch the full video. Anyways.
Hey, buddy. What kind of cartoons is this gonna be like anyway?
Oh, well, my name is Boggles, and I'll say video game characters with my friends.
Oh, brother.
I'm a learner.
Another one of these.
Why are you saying it like that? Is this a common occurrence, or are you just complaining about glitch shows in general? By the way, I want you to take note of the main character, Robbie's demeanor in this teaser. Boggles continues babbling as Robbie brings him over to his friends, Nolan and Waffles, who proceed to brutally assault him with a golf club and a baseball bat.
Oh, God!
Trust me, you would not have wanted to watch that pilot anyway.
Well, gee, I don't know who you are yet, but my introduction to your character was basically, that other show sucks, you should watch our show that doesn't even exist yet instead. Now, it's worth noting that this whole scene is a direct reference to this scene of Screwy Squirrel.
I play the lead in the picture, and my name is Sammy Squirrel, and the story is all about me and my cute little furry friends in the forest.
Oh,
Reddy
brother, not
Fox and
that,
Maybe
not
Beaver
that.
But in the original scene, Screwy's making fun of a very generic, cute squirrel cartoon, and yeah, you could make an argument that this is supposed to be a more specific character, but Screwy is also supposed to be an antagonistic character. And Tex Avery also openly hated him, which is why the character was discontinued for decades. I'm sure that the creator of this show thought that he was punching up by making fun of Glitch, which inherently has a lot more influence and resources than a couple of guys out of animation school trying to make their own show. But it immediately comes across as arrogant and self-important, with a heaping scoop of contempt for other people who have been able to get projects made after years of trying. There's nothing wrong with parodying other shows, but the key to a good parody, in my opinion, is a genuine love and respect for what you're parodying, not just surface level references and or bashing another thing you don't like. And I don't feel like, trust me, you wouldn't have wanted to watch that pilot. I don't feel like that's a friendly, lighthearted jab. Professionalism is important in every industry, but it's especially important in the animation industry because animation is inherently a tight-knit community where people will move between projects. Naturally, people called them out for this, and the show's creator, Robbie, made a video apologizing. This was posted not long ago, and he's...
Hey guys, sorry for all the fuss I caused. Ow! Let me make it clear. I have no hate for Gameoverse or the Glitch crew. I love animation, and especially indie work. Fuck!
Hanging from a tree and getting whipped. There's also some past baggage related to some old commissions that were evidently for Nick Fuentes, which is definitely suspicious. But for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna just put that aside and talk about what we've seen from this show so far. Who are these characters according to the showrunners? Well, if you were inclined to click on the Kickstarter campaign out of morbid curiosity, you come to the description. 3 deadbeat friends need to make money to pay next month's rent, by any means necessary. Cool, so you took 2 broke girls and just made it 3 broke guys. Okay, I'm going to be reading this off of my phone because this was a quick video and I wasn't dealing with doing the prompter today. Chimptopia is an animated sitcom about 3 20-something-year-old friends who need money so they don't get evicted by their landlord, Chimp. Okay, so I can tell that this character right here is supposed to be Chimp, and according to the show's creator, Robbie, Chimp was based on their friend who is Hispanic, and apparently nobody thought of the implications of having the clearly Hispanic landlord character be a chimp. I mean, yeah, I don't think you're beating the racism allegations there. This pilot follows Robbie, Nolan, and Waffles. By the way, the characters are literally just named after the dudes who are making this, Robert, Nolan, and Ethan, as they get a job at their local fast food joint, where they are tasked with working a minimum wage job. I don't know why you had to specify that. Like, it's fast food. I'm not under the assumption that all 3 of them are managers. We blend the relatability of Seinfeld, the crudeness of South Park, and the wackiness of Smiling Friends into our show to create something unique in the indie animated space. Well, you lost me at Seinfeld. Seriously though, there's plenty of shows out there that are like this. Slice of life shows that can be very grounded, but can also easily dabble in the absurd. Hell, you probably could have just said South Park. Although something tells me that refers more to the nature of the characters than the actual satirical content of the show itself. I haven't watched Smiling Friends myself, but someone else pointed out that Smiling Friends works because it's a bunch of wacky characters that are put into a more slice of life show, and that wouldn't really work with these character designs. But anyways, why would you make this? I love how this sounds like we're questioning them after they said it was like Seinfeld. Oh god, why would you want to make a show that's intentionally like Seinfeld? This story is a passion project created by a friend group who has too many stories to tell and want to put it into a format that can live on forever. Too many stories to tell. Well, it's a good thing you picked an indie animated show where it takes like a minimum of 3 months per episode, and that's if you have a big staff. Many of the sitcoms that exist, we can see ourselves in them, and I think we can push the relatability a step further. We also think that the indie animated space suffers from a severe lack of episodic shows. We have no intentions on an overarching story, and we want any viewer to be able to jump in and immediately understand what the show is about. Each episode would be its own self-contained story. Yeah, so they are really hammering home this idea of we're not like those other shows, while trying to be more like shows that you'd see on network television. They keep mentioning that nobody's really making an indie adult animated sitcom, and while true, I think there's a really good reason for that the people behind this project fail to consider. The whole appeal of doing an episodic TV series, like what they're talking about, is that it can air weekly over the course of a season. Be it something like The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, or one of the countless other sitcoms that Fox ran for 1 season that this show is absolutely trying to imitate. These shows will have a large staff of writers and storyboard artists, and a lot of the animation is done overseas. And during production, you'll always have different episodes at different stages on the pipeline, so they can produce a bunch of episodes in a shorter amount of time. It's just not realistic to expect an independent animated series to release new episodes weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly. Pretty much every animated series I follow on YouTube that has regular releases is a short form series, like Chicken Nugget, which is done by BuzzFeed, or Me the Family Pet, which was based on a webcomic. With those shows, production times are much faster because the style is simple and the videos are short. There is no way you're getting 22 minutes of animation done per week unless you scale up massively or get picked up by a larger network like what happened with Has Been Hotel. And I don't think they want to do that if they're openly scoffing at Glitch, and if the whole point of the show is to make an indie sitcom. And I mean, they are crowdfunding it, so I feel like usually when people crowdfund stuff, they don't want to try to get picked up by a network, but who knows? Who knows what they want to do? The show skews in a much more teen/young adult sense of humor. The characters in this world are hateful and full of spite, a reflection of the terrible parts of society. Our message, however, is not to make the world look bleak, but to show the stories that can be made despite the negativity. Very thoughtful, very, very demure, very mindful. Reactbot, what did you think of that?
Can we leave the politics out of it, please?
I'm working on something on the Sunnyland Adventures channel. You should subscribe over there if you haven't already. I do theme park stuff. I'm going to circle back around to this idea of the world being very hateful and spiteful as we talk about the characters to kind of see what we're working with here. Robbie, age 22. Aspiration, artist. Vibes, joyous, optimistic. Hobby, working out. Likes, pasta, cartoons. Hates, being dirty, getting touched. Hold on, joyous and optimistic? The guy who is so immediately annoyed with Boggles that he helped his friends brutalize him? I suppose you could... Hold on, the sun's setting and it's getting darker in this room. I gotta turn the light on. Okay, that's much better. I suppose you could make the argument that the teaser trailer wasn't actually a canon moment in the show, and it's just something that the creator thought was funny. But what they've stated about this show is that it has a more wacky reality akin to Smiling Friends, which means that characters like that are inherently a part of this world. Even if the teaser was just meant as a joke at the expense of another show, it still serves as an introduction to these characters and how they'll interact with the world around them. Why would a joyous and optimistic character who's an aspiring artist and likes cartoons want to beat up a cute little purple dinosaur? More to the point, what about this character design actually says joyous and optimistic? What's a good example of a joyous and optimistic character I could show? Oh, hi Molly.
Hi Bessie! You know what I see here? Limitless potential.
Granted, it is a bit of a fixer-upper.
Dad, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love it! Oh wow, my new bedroom is kind of a dump. It needs the Molly McGee touch.
Anyways, back to Robbie. A boneheaded, straightforward guy. Nothing is ever that serious to him, but he still knows when to lock in. He is the least smart out of the trio, but his heart is in the right place, and that's what matters. Has a lot of ideas, but once in a while can pull them off. His heart is in the right place, but he'll gladly help his friends commit an act of physical violence. Okay. Even though he is always trying to make everyone happy, if something pisses him off, it really pisses him off. So I guess maybe Gobbles pissed him off? But it didn't really seem like there was any kind of progression from him being happy to getting annoyed and being smarmy and then finally going over the edge and snapping. There's no interesting characterization or conflict happening here. Could you imagine if the first thing we ever saw Phineas do was make a cynical joke lightly mocking SpongeBob while he was upset? Or Molly McGee being mean to her little brother or jealous of one of her classmates? These are not the default actions of these characters who are described to us as eternal optimists who want to make everyone happy. And the interesting storytelling and character moments happen in actually exploring these characters and showing the audience how they got to that point. Hell, Molly disliking Irving the Magician in All Systems No is extremely funny because she's normally super kind and excited to meet and interact with different people. And close-up magic seems like something the audience would expect her to like.
Obviously, I love real magic, wizards and unicorns and stuff, but magicians are just con artists who trick people, and I don't like being bamboozled, Scratch, and I will not be hurt again!
But that moment would not have served as a good character introduction for her.
Hey there, passerby! Would you like to see some magic?
Yes.
Presto! Are you impressed? Oh,
That didn't come from my ear. You were holding that coin in your hand the whole time. I know your game, Prestige Faker.
We haven't met Robbie yet, so we don't know anything about him, which means we don't know what his usual demeanor even is. And this teaser definitely didn't make me like him. The characters in this world are hateful and full of spite, a reflection of the terrible parts of society. Honestly, this idea could really work if you actually had an optimistic protagonist who is constantly challenged by a really mean-spirited environment around them. But following that statement with, our message, however, is not to make the world look bleak, but to show the stories that can be made despite the negativity, tells me that this show isn't making a strong case for optimism. Robbie's optimism isn't a guiding principle for the show like the optimism of a character like Molly is in The Ghost of Molly McGee. I think because this character in particular is based on the show's main creator, it's possible that the real Robbie thinks of himself as an optimist while not really knowing what that actually means. But let's move on to our two other main characters that we know anything about. Nolan, age 25, aspiration, not applicable, vibes, hot-headed, hobby, chatting up women, unsuccessfully. Unsuccessfully is spelled wrong, by the way. It's spelled with one C, whereas success is supposed to have two C's. Likes, women. Hates, everything. Gluten. Wow, this guy sounds like a real winner. Extremely confident, perhaps compensating for something, as well as short-tempered. When something slightly bad happens, Nolan is the first to crash out. Don't use crash out, come on. They used lock in earlier, I hate this. So, going back to assaulting gobbles with golf clubs and bats, if Nolan is the one that's hot-headed and quick to crash out, it should have been him that was wanting to attack gobbles and not Robbie or Waffles. His strong temperament aside, Nolan also happens to be a ladies' man, but most attempts end with a slap, a scream, or the police being called. So their idea of a funny and relatable sitcom protagonist was this guy who has intense anger issues, constantly gets into fights, and definitely ignores boundaries from women. Because a slap could just be him saying something rude or offensive that he didn't necessarily intend that way. But a scream or the police being called multiple times inherently implies something far more serious and wrong is happening. These characters, like I mentioned earlier, are pretty much just self-inserts, meaning that all of these personality traits are, in theory, lifted directly from their real-life counterparts that are working on this show. Now, I'm not saying that depiction equals endorsement here, but I am left wondering why the real-life version of Nolan, who, I'll remind you once again, is working on this show, would be cool with being depicted in this way in a show that the creator has said is supposed to be largely inspired by real experiences. Robbie did say that the characters are caricatures and aren't one-to-one with him and his friends, but I feel like there's a lot of excuses being made here. Waffles, age 22, aspiration, engineer, vibes, nonchalant, hobby, baseball, likes, steak, spike ball? What is spike ball? An American sports equipment company that chiefly produces equipment for the green, yellow, brown net. Okay. Hates, stupidity, wasted time. The man of reason. Okay, then why wasn't he against the idea of assaulting gobbles? He's basically always right. Easily the smartest out of the three. Waffles, aka Waffs, is the only one on the right track in life, which has people asking why he sticks around with the other two. Yeah, I'd be asking that question if I was him too. Waffs is the first to point out a problem with an idea and always the last to join. He is not a bullshitter. If he has a problem, it's known. I noticed they gave Ethan the funny made-up name because there wasn't anything else to his character. And as such, I have nothing else to really say about Waffles. And remember, in this show, anything can had plane. Along our trio's journey, which remember is episodic, there's no character growth allowed here, they will run into many odd, peculiar, and whatever other words you can think of for weird individuals. The three of them will try and help them solve their issues or accidentally make their lives worse. So, smiling friends. Also, there are multiple grammatical mistakes in this entire Kickstarter campaign, including the use of the wrong version of there twice within the same sentence here. And I've noticed that in his tweets, Robbie will use that version of there instead of there. Looks like he needs to have the grammar dream.
Today we're gonna teach you about a common writing error. The differences among the forms of there and there and there.
Sometimes the person they run into is an absolute nuisance, or a magical wise cow that speaks of wisdom and fortune. Anything can happen in the world of Chimptopia. Wow, the examples of things that can happen in this universe are so weak sauce. They could deal with a Karen at work, or a magical wise cow. Graduating college and trying to get something started in the industry with real big name studios right now is hard. A future where I can work on this show is a literal dream job, and I do not take the chance for granted. Robert. Okay, see, now I can see where he thinks of himself as an optimist. I don't want to put Robbie down too much for having ambitious dreams, but doing this right now just isn't realistic. Robbie, you're in your 20s and you're fresh out of animation school. You have a decent portfolio, but you've never worked at an actual studio before as far as I can tell. And based on what you've put out, yeah, you can tell. People who have successfully crowdfunded animated shows and projects like this have had more interesting concepts, and they've had actual experience that they brought to making their pilot. Especially if you are attempting to crowdfund a show, you really do need a more interesting premise than a bland sitcom with vague, wacky elements. You need a good premise, you need better writing, and you need better characters. If you want people to give you up to $500,000 to make 4 episodes of your show, then you need to show us why your show would be worth that. Well, that was kind of a serious ending to this video. Reactbot, what do you got?
Nah, I'm good.
Valid.